everybody. Welcome to Society Scoop. And we have been halted for some time. And right now, I'm back with a brand new, I would say, not exactly like I have decided a bunch of guests, but I'm actually quite happy to have multiple guests this time. And I'm sure all of you will be excited to know more their stories. Maybe you can relate as well. So perhaps their story might sound like you, or maybe what they're going through, you can relate it as well. And that's why we have Society Scope so that you are able to relate and connect. And maybe if you are going through similar challenges or struggles, or maybe just a simple conundrums in life, maybe you could relate to that. And today we are talking to someone who is actually very young, chirpy, and I really like her personality. And maybe those of you who are in their 20s might be wondering, how do I figure out life? How do I go about this? And do you think that, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right track? Do I really have to follow what my parents are telling, what my elder siblings or someone who's from the older age are telling me? And do I really have to be a part of this rat race? What do I do? So there's a lot of questions. So you don't know whether you are doing the right thing or the wrong thing, and you're always having these doubts throughout your life. And it's okay for you to have these questions. And for us to talk more about this, we're gonna talk to this guest and this girl who actually had it together, and she thought she was going on the right track, and then she thought maybe this is right, maybe this is not. And she's still figuring things out, even though you think that you got it all covered. But there'll be a point and there'll be a turning point in your life where you think that you could change things. All right, so everybody, please welcome Sophia. Hi, Sophia. How are you doing?
Hey, Kavita, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. And just so you know, I call this show as Life and Trying Times because
Mm.
life happens no matter what. It has to go on. Show has to
I
go
would
on.
say I would say it's a very apt title given how everyone goes through life and is always trying things out, especially now. Very trying times.
I know. And when Sophia said actually now with all this war that is happening between US, Israel, and also Iran, so that is
Hmm.
actually the current situation we are in. And of course, many parts of the world we are affected, and there are also a lot of uncertainty. So that also has been worrying many people. And I think it will be a very it's going to be a fresh of breath air for us to hear all of this outlook from a 20-year-old, those who are in the 20s. Sophia, tell us more about yourself.
Thank you, Kavita, for giving me the floor. So, as you have mentioned, my name is Sophia. I am 27, only just turned about a couple weeks ago.
Happy
I
belated birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I celebrated the directly the day before Raya, so that was a bit of a hoot.
Okay.
I've been working in corporate sustainability for a couple years now, and I really enjoy what I do at the moment. And other things like I like a good cup of strawberry matcha. I'm a very basic person.
Actually, those who like matcha, they actually have a lot of layers, I would say.
Well, you could.
All right, okay. What else?
I actually do occasionally do content on TikTok here or there because I also, as I mentioned, I like to yap. So I also like to make videos talking about my perspective on things, giving certain opinions, talking about issues that I care a lot about. A few years ago, I really struck a community talking about my experience on dating apps that really resonated with a lot of people. And I got a lot of stories from that era. But I have since kind of slowed down given how I have been in the corporate life. So balancing that with everything else in my life, like hobbies and fitness, has been a real challenge. So, but I'm slowly trying to pick up on that. But no promises, and I'm also seeing where things go.
All right, all right. I would say, wow, being in this corporate actually, it can either make or break people. And
Mm.
sometimes you would actually would form different perspective towards everything that you're doing in life. And I can sense that through the weight of this conversation and from what you're sharing, I can sense that how much you have changed through the years. And I'm
Oh
sure
yeah,
you're if
definitely.
you look back at yourself, I'm sure there's a lot of changes has gone through, right?
Honestly, I don't know if younger me would recognize where I am right now. She'd be like, "What? Really? This is where you are now?"
Oh my God. Is this the Sophia that
And I
I
think
knew?
I think that's a flex. That could be either a good thing or a bad thing depending on where you are. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a drug addict by no means, thank God. But I think I'm in a pretty good position where younger me would not just be surprised, but hopefully be impressed about where I've come, how far
All
I've come.
right. That's great. That's great. And maybe we could track back. Maybe once when maybe you could talk about. Uh, can you share a bit about your family? How many of you in the family? So maybe just a bit of how different are you compared to the rest of your siblings? Do you have any siblings?
All right, so I'm the middle of five children, four girls and a boy, and we are all children of very successful adults, like working a lot. My parents are one is a an active surgeon and lecturer for in the medical field, and the other one is has been a legal practitioner for over 30 years. So my parents they are very successful, but they also managed to somehow as busy as they are, they make time for us and take care of us. And as a middle child, I actually don't experience middle child syndrome. And I think my parents do kind of treat us all well as children. And growing up, we've really grown up together. You know how a lot of siblings have really big age gaps and they tend to be two different generations. Like my siblings
Mm,
were all raised at the same time because we had very small age gaps. So we are still a united front and we're all like very close. So I guess in that sense we are it's like you know how you have like five friends and who are just very slightly older or younger than each other. That's how me and my siblings are in that
right.
sense. Mm.
Okay. So, like comparing to all of your personalities, would you think that you're the most outstanding one?
Oh no, my siblings and I are all equally, or I mean, some of us are chattier than others, but all of us are
Mm,
pretty friendly, outgoing, reasonable people. We've been described every sometimes when my family and I go out to eat at a restaurant, we have been
yeah.
described once or twice as the nicest customers to serve.
Mm,
There was one Japanese place that we patroned a few years ago
yeah.
and there was a server who told us that, oh, we were so nice and friendly because usually it was a relatively high end place. So she normally is used to people who are a bit uh, snobby or a little bit more entitled behavior. Not to call out anyone in particular. It's just a general sense. So I think
Yeah.
we were also a breath of fresh air for her to serve because we were so nice and understanding. And when if there were some dishes that came late or were forgotten in the order, we were like, it's okay, as just get it done. Yeah. So this is how my
Mm,
siblings and I we also approach life. We are reasonably friendly people, and we are pretty chill for the most times. We are also really chatty and can be loud when we want to be, can be reserved when we want to be, but we are a pretty friendly group, I will say.
okay, okay. Does it, do you think that this is also could be the main reason how your parents have brought you up? Do you look up to your parents?
Oh, yes, I do look up to my parents, especially given how busy they are and have always been to this day. Like, even they'll be working late into the night, either doing minute meetings or seeing patients. Even while, like, sometimes on vacation, they are answering phone calls and stuff. So while we understand that is a part of the life that they have chosen, we also understand that we try to tell them, hey, you should have like some work-life boundaries, but we also acknowledge that that is what they have chosen to do in order to provide us with the life that we have enjoyed, especially since we saw a very significant shift when my dad moved from public to private medicine.
Mm,
So definitely things have shifted from there and we've been able to definitely enjoy a more privileged life. I am not shying away from that. I'm definitely acknowledging that. But a
mm,
lot of work does go into it. But miraculously, my parents are able to still spend time with us and see us as people because sometimes the busiest parents they don't make time for their children. Um,
mm.
it's a stereotype that busy dads almost never hang out with their kids. But my
Yeah.
dad has been pretty active in spending time with us, especially with my younger brother. He plays tennis with them. He takes him to guitar classes with him, and stuff. So I think my parents have given us really good heads on our shoulders, and I have commended them for doing that, especially since they had five children in such a short amount of time. Five kids in 7 years. Like, can you imagine like holding one baby, two babies in your arms, and
Yeah.
another one in a stroller, another one like walking around? Yeah, so I really commend my parents for having the grit to raise us all that way. And I think it really paid off because we have all ventured into our own different journeys. And I think separately, we have shown certain amounts of success here and there,
Hmm.
with to varying degrees, I will say. But we're also still figuring things out over the course of our lives. But
Hmm.
my parents are generally really supportive of that.
Wow. Okay. I must say that they have played like quite a big part in your life and how
Yeah.
all of you have turned out. I think the credits goes to them. And also, I wonder, and once you've done schooling, so maybe when during your schooling days, maybe you've already like had this thought, okay, when I grow up, I want to be this particular person. Did you actually had this ambition during your school days?
I definitely had different phases of ambitions that I would like to be in certain parts of my life. For the longest time, I wanted to be an artist, like not the singing artist, like those who do actual art.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to do that as a profession. That's not happening anymore. I also wanted to dive into there were lots of things I wanted to be. I wanted to be a politician. Thank God that never happened. I don't have the guts for politics. I don't have the grit for politics.
Okay.
I wanted to own a gallery cafe that didn't happen. I thought of going into what else? I thought of going into business, and then I later eventually decided that business wasn't for me. And then when I got to college, after I finished my foundation, I moved into psychology, but I didn't really have a clear idea of what I wanted to do as a career post college, which is why I
Hmm.
kind of left school with a lot of uncertainty. But I really did, even though it was a very big learning curve, I enjoyed and graduated well with in my degree in psychology. And
Hmm.
my parents are really supportive, and they're quite liberal in the sense that they don't really force us into any specific career paths. They didn't force us
Okay.
to be doctors, they didn't force us to be lawyers, they didn't force us to be accountants. And I have had friends who were unhappy in the past that they chose, but were forced to take it because of their parents. And I understand why they would feel a bit less resistant to go against
Mm-hmm.
what their parents say, because maybe their parents sacrifice a lot for them, and their parents are funding their education. Like, even though my parents did fund my siblings and my education for the most part, which is a lot of privilege to say,
Mm.
they were quite liberal in the sense that they let us choose our own paths.
Right.
And whatever we decided to pursue, they would be on board in supporting us. But where if they had issues with what we chose to do, they would talk to us and try to reason like against it or for it. So they were really they also had good heads on their shoulders in that sense too.
I must say that not many parents actually would have the same mindset as yours, Sophia. And also, I would say maybe it could be the Asian mentality. I think most probably that's the case because when it comes to if you need to make it in life, it only has to be these specific few occupations only. Only then you get ahead in life. But sometimes when I meet children who are still exploring, even in their late 30s or even in 40s, they get lost, right? So that's because they didn't get the opportunity to explore. So now, when it comes to uh, so what actually motivated you to do psychology?
So I have always been more attuned towards people, and I enjoyed listening to them talk about their problems or talk about issues that they had, and they would often say that I was a good listener. And I've always found people to be intriguing, especially since I have been introspective for the longest time. I tend to think a lot about social rules, about relationships between people, why things are the way they are, and I think that was how I described myself
Hmm.
in your form. One of the words that I used was introspective, and that was really a really big word that I I used to identify myself, especially when I just graduated from high school. So
Mm.
even though I did my business degree because I did not want to do engineering, did not want to do math, and that was the only option left in this particular university.
Yeah.
Not that I mean, I did business in high school, so it wouldn't have been that big a deal. But then I decided to pivot from business into psychology because I was more attuned towards people and I found it a lot more interesting and something that I could probably pursue. And when after I finished my foundation program, I applied for the psychology program. But this was a psychology with like a tenet of business as well. So I'm not really completely throwing away
Right.
my background in business. But yeah, it was a big learning curve, I say, because I did not have a background in psychology
Mm.
previously. So learning initial concepts like depth perception, object permanence, um, things like concepts like that, like very basic introductory concepts, it took a lot in me to fully comprehend and internalize. So I didn't do well my first year, didn't do as well, just barely passed. But then
Yeah.
in the next few years of my degree, as I got the hang of things more, I sort of understood things better and I could actually follow. And I actually that led to me taking a voluntary internship in a mental health NGO here in
Mm.
PJ, in
Mm.
Petaling Jaya.
Yeah.
And from that experience, I definitely had more foundation towards people with mental health issues, what what the struggles that they go through, the things that they have, and how they are still people. These are just things that they have gone through. And it was from that where I kind of did understand the people in my life more, especially since more and more people I've come to learn have these mental health issues, like people with bipolar or
Mm.
depression or even ADHD,
Yeah.
autism. So it's more common than you think. So this is something that I really appreciated during my time at university.
Wow.
But then, yeah, so I actually wanted moving into the my thoughts about career progression post college. I actually wanted to pursue a master's in child and adolescent psychology, so I could
Mm.
be a child and adolescent psychologist because that was a particular interest that I personally had from when I was at the university because I love
Mm.
children. I love
Mm.
children. I love being with children. Love taking care of children. It's a lot. It's often that my little cousins, because I have a lot of small cousins,
Mm.
they will often look for me to play with them and to talk to them. And I was the one, I was the older sister, older cousin that would be the most rajin to layan them lah in,
Yeah.
in layman
Yeah.
terms. Yeah, so yeah, this is a really keen interest I eventually developed, and one of my courses in university was about cognitive development over the years, which half of it centered on the development in children and teenagers. And I will give a bit of context that I had a pretty tough time as a teenager. Who doesn't?
Mm.
But I it was at that point where I was really advocating for the idea that even though teenagers might not have it hard to you, but to them it's still hard for them.
Yeah.
So our issues as teenagers should still be taken pretty seriously because this is, as far as we know in life, this is what is the hardest for us. So
Yeah.
I wanted to be a child adolescent psychologist to kind of help people in that sense.
Mm.
But and from this, this is me moving from college to my first job. I actually took a 7 month 7 month gap because I was sick of studying, sick of working. I wanted to just relax and do nothing. So I did it for
Okay.
7 months. I did that for 7 months while my other like friends and peers were doing internships and going into their first job to their more technical degrees like actuarial science or accounting and finance or pursuing their further education to get more qualified. I was taking a break and kind of seeing what my options could be. So I wanted to work with children, get working experience with children. So I decided to work for a children's leadership academy, and
Mm.
they had one of their business units was preschool. So I became a preschool teacher for a bit.
Mm.
That job, I was only there for 3 months, which is actually not long at all to stay in one position.
Right.
I barely finished. Didn't really get past the probation stage, but that was also my choice. It wasn't that they fired me, but I decided to resign. There were a lot of
Okay.
different issues with that job because then I came to a point where I decided that this wasn't what I wanted to pursue
Mm.
anymore, or not something that I could see myself staying in for the betterment of my professional development, on top of the other issues that I had with this job that I will not, I will kind of keep to myself for now. But
Okay.
but do ask if you're curious. That was one. That
All
was
right.
one. Also, like, I decided to leave after 3 months after I decided I had enough. And then a few
Mm.
months after that, later, I kind of did a few more things here and there. But then a few months after that, I had my second job,
Hmm.
which was a very big pivot. I went from a children's preschool teacher and leadership coach to now a corporate key account executive, which is just a
Ah.
fancy word for saying salesperson.
All right.
I
Okay.
was a salesperson for a training and development company because I had exposure from training from the Children's Leadership Academy I was in.
Mm.
Because the owner is a trainer and they do a lot of coaching and stuff. So this is something that I could maybe get more interest in the more corporate sense. So that's what I
Right.
did. I absolutely hated this job with every fiber of my being. I hated this job with a fiery passion. I was resistant to the idea of joining sales from the very beginning.
Okay.
But my I was encouraged to give it a shot, and I did, and that just further made me more convicted of the fact that I hated sales as a profession. I feel like to be in sales as a job, you need a certain type of drive
Mm-hmm.
and grit and
Mm-hmm.
aggression that I just didn't have. The people who are salespeople, the stereotype is that they're pushy, they are insistent, they will cross boundaries, or they'll kiss up to you, and they're true. But I just don't want to. I didn't want to lump myself in that sense, or because that was what I didn't personally believe in. Again, it went against what how I carried myself in general, because I don't like being pushy. I don't like having an aggression. And you know how salespeople were really money minded, but making money was not a priority to me. It was like at that time,
Yeah.
I was in 23, 24, so I was still in my I wasn't making much money at all. But at the same time,
Mm.
I was living at home. I was supported by my parents still, so I still had a safety net, which is a
Okay.
really important tenet for me to mention, because I was allowed to quit my jobs because I had the safety net. So I left job one after 3 months, and I left job two after 6 months. And it was also like a bigger question mark for the second job was what would my career trajectory look like if I stayed? And I
Mm.
asked my supervisor this, and he said it would probably be in sales. And that was like, yeah, I want out. I actually told my supervisor that the way that I was perceiving myself in this team is as
Yeah.
because I loved the people.
Yeah.
I could appreciate the culture, but I just hated the job.
Yeah.
And I was explaining to my supervisor how I saw it was, I am a rabbit. You are a fish. You are trying to train me how to be a fish. It was just
Mm.
something I couldn't do. It essentially I could not get the hang of it because it's just something that I'm not built for. And I think a lot of people in this company, they they did recognize that I was very bright. I was very I had a lot of strengths I could offer. It was just that this job wasn't the right avenue for me to realize them.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of move on from that. And then this was after I turned
Mm-hmm.
24. This was after I turned 24. Like in
Right.
my in the year I turned this is rewinding back to 2023. Yeah. So
Okay.
then in this job, I left the job, and then I was basically unemployed properly. Didn't have a proper job for 9 months, which, you know what? Can I just say something? I want to say that being in the job market, looking for a
Yeah.
job is
Yeah.
grueling and painful. The job market today is absolutely terrible. People who want entry level jobs also ask for 2 to 3 years of experience, which I definitely did not have at that time.
We
Their
have it.
wish list of things that they look for is sometimes unreasonable to a certain degree. And as much as I can apply to 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 different jobs and not hear back from any of them because of very surface level things. And even if I go through interview processes, I often will. not get the job that I want, or I will be offered a job is for a job that I just after that decide is not for me.
Hmm.
I had about 3 to 4 job offers from marketing agencies, but all of them were like, okay, you're going to start from ground zero, where you're going to be the one. Those people who you see the bijalan, and they have little flyers and they ask for donations, and I did not want to do that because I first of all, I feel bad for those people. And two, I would
Yep.
hate to be in that position. So I just didn't want to subject myself to that for the sake of building myself up and growing my own business, which is something that from the first business that I knew for sure I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it was a big learning process for me, especially, but at the expense of me not making money, me still being unemployed and not really having much in the professional development. And when I was in so what was really helpful, what really apart from me having the safety net that my parents provided, I also started seeing someone like I started dating someone new at that time in late 2023, and he was also understanding and supportive of the process. So he will often be the one I reached out to help me to help look into jobs and to do some research on those jobs and also help me prepare for those interviews and stuff. So
Yeah.
he was really had at that time, and even to this day, he has been my rock the entire time. So I will give a
Right.
shout out to him for that. But then when it came to actually getting a job, and I started feeling like I felt so numb because of how soul sucking the whole thing was. 9 months out of a job, out of a proper job. Not to say
Hmm.
I wasn't fully employed. Was doing a small like projects here and there. Some that I did have fun in, some that I didn't.
Yep.
But it was just that I wasn't really I wasn't really doing anything fulfilling. So then, when there was a time where my parents decided to get involved, so they also reached out to people that they knew who were hiring. And I was recommended by one of them to apply for the company that he's in.
Hmm.
Not so then I did apply. I was like, and mind you, this was the one where I talked about in sustainability. And I personally was not sure if I would do well in sustainability. Is this going to be another thing that I dive my toes into these waters and go out of my wheelhouse just to learn that I hate it again? Because my experience previously was okay, job one was 3 months, job two was 6 months, and I had not held a proper job since. So
Yeah.
I was kind of giving myself not enough slack in the sense that I was holding myself to such a high standard. Should be a job that I will potentially enjoy. That's a job that could be right for me. But then how am I supposed to know if I don't try? Right. And I was
Hmm.
also feeling really particularly bad about the fact that I was not able to hold a job for more than 6 months. Meanwhile, I have people in my circles or people I went to college with who have been in their current positions for 3, 4 years. So
Yeah.
I was also feeling really bad about myself in this point. And it wasn't until I applied for this job and I got a call back. But I was unfortunately offered a position where I was forced to take a pay cut. And I was like, you know what? Because this company is much more renowned and established than the other companies I'm working for. And if
Yep.
I want to focus on my professional development, I should be okay with the pay cut. So that was exactly what I did. And I will say, because this company is so big,
Hmm.
is so known, I had a lot of imposter syndrome in the
Yep.
beginning. I had a lot of imposter syndrome in the beginning. I was like, maybe this is too much for me, or maybe I feel really out of place, like a small fish in a big pond, where everyone is a high achiever. Everyone is, some people are scholars, have been there from the very beginning. Some people are, well established in their careers and doing so many amazing things because it's such an established company.
Yep.
And I felt bad about myself in comparison to them because I was looking around and it's like, oh, some of them would even be younger than me, which kind
Hmm.
of made it worse.
Yep.
Because, at their age, I was still, figuring things out, and I still unsure of myself. Meanwhile, they're in their position and they're doing so well. So I started feeling guilty for myself. But then I am really, really grateful that I had such a supportive team where they actually guided me through the process of how to do things. And then once I got more confident,
Yep.
Once I got more confident in what I did as a job, I started being a lot more comfortable and familiar with my team. God bless my team. I have such a
Hmm.
I you know what, having a good team and good bosses is a really big
Yeah.
plus, which I'm very grateful for. And it's and good thankfully I have been in this job ever since, because and I've really grown a lot from there. While I'm still figuring things out and nothing is complete, and I'm still in a realm of uncertainty at the moment in terms of my job security. I'm still pretty comfortable where I am, and if I am forced to kind of move on from this company, I will have a lot more confidence into going into the job market because I actually have some substance to my experience.
Oh wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Look at the path that you actually went through, especially when it comes to exploring jobs. And
Hmm.
I also like the part where you have been quite open, because many people who think that, they can just simply jump into jobs. Maybe sometimes they would have good savings. And I like what you have pointed it out without being embarrassed about it, that you had your parents as a safety net. And so of course many people would definitely would say like, oh, okay, so at least I wouldn't be able to depend on my parents, or how am I supposed to jump? It depends on the situation. It depends on what position you are in, and it's also important that you don't compare with another person, right? And also before you actually explore, and I like how you have noted that sales is not your thing, and I also like how you actually presented that point to your supervisor, like. You're trying to train me into something that I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not for everyone. And now when it comes to, like even with the youngsters, most people, they like to update their life updates and what they're achieving, what they're doing with their life. So they'll put it on the social media. So, do you think by, for these youngsters, for them to be fully updating everything on the social media, and do you think that they feel left out, or do you think that they have a competition for them to fight? And how do we go about this for the rest of the youngsters out there?
So social media is a very tricky thing to balance in my personal opinion, because as much as I love sharing things in my life, whether that's work or hanging out with friends or spending time with my boyfriend and family and
Hmm.
stuff, I understand that some people might be envious of the life that I live, because especially as I have acknowledged, I live a very privileged life. And not in just the privilege of me being in a comfortable position in family. The fact that my parents and my family are so tight knit and we actually like each other and we are relatively healthy family dynamics. I say relatively because no family is perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I also have a pretty good relationship with my friends. I have a pretty good relationship with my boyfriend. I understand that some people might be envious of the life I live in those senses, because that is a privilege to a lot of people.
Hmm.
Being with someone for love, growing up with comfort and safety and love from your parents, your siblings actually liking each other, having a group of friends. I understand. This is like whether or not people are envious of the life that I live and the things that I do. That is not up to my control, and
Yeah.
that's not something that I should be controlling anyway, because that is not a problem with me. It's a problem with them and whoever is envious. And I say this because I've also been in that position where I'm on social media. I watch other people post their stories of their own successes in life, whether it's them getting married or them
Hmm.
getting a promotion or them getting to travel to certain places that I've never been. And I have also felt a pang of envy, wanting the same for myself. Of course, I would never wish them to not have those things, because that is I don't want to be malevolent towards those people. And everyone deserves good things in life, especially when they've worked so hard to earn them. But
Hmm.
sometimes in those positions, especially when I am feeling insecure about myself in particular, I will be envious of them, and sometimes I'll have to kind of put the phone down and kind of touch grass and go on a walk, or just mind my own business. And I say this in the context of a career. I definitely have seen people post about their promotions, of working in the same place for several years, celebrating their third or fourth work anniversary. And LinkedIn is very painful for this, which, you know, as pretentious as people are on LinkedIn, people do post their real achievements, especially, and I can trust that people I know will be posting their real achievements. So It's not the best place to be if you are insecure about your career, I will say, on
Yep.
LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So thank God I'm not active and I'm not active on LinkedIn anyway. And again, people there are pretentious and make things up for the sake of uh for their professional lives and stuff. But
Yeah.
that's a whole tangent I could go into some other time. But anyway, yeah, when it comes to social media and being insecure, social comparisons in general are very common and there's no stopping it. You are always going to compare yourself to someone. And
Mm.
it's often that you will compare to someone who is in a better position than you, when
Mm.
especially when you forget the position that you used to be in. Like right now, I'm comparing myself to people who are senior executives who have been promoted, who are in a really good position in their company. And this, I say this because right now I have not been absorbed in the company that I'm in. I'm still under a specific program contract, and I'm just
Right.
praying for the best at this point. I mean my team has been fighting, but
Hmm.
I can only pray for the best. And I say this because as much as I compare myself to people like that,
Yeah.
I would who have been in a good position, who are senior execs and whatever. I also tend to forget the position that I used to be. That I came to the company as a contract trainee in the beginning, had to take a pay cut, but
Mm-hmm.
that was for the sake of my professional development as well. And previously in my other jobs, I was in a relatively full time position, was getting, but was still under probation. And I absolutely hated those jobs.
Right.
So I think it's a lot for me personally. It's a lot of trying to ground myself into where I am and be grateful for the things that I've got and just praying for the best in the future. I think it was, but I will say it's bad when you see people who are more successful than you and they are within your vicinity,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll give a good example about one of my sisters who is
Yeah.
younger than me, like my
Mm-hmm.
younger sister. She did her like at the same time as I started my contract with my current company. She became an intern at another a pretty big successful company, and
Mm-hmm.
she got absorbed. She got
Right.
absorbed as full time staff, and she actually went through her probation. The only reason why she's not there anymore is because she decided to pursue her further education.
Mm.
Um, that one was also a feat in and of itself because it was not easy for her to achieve, but she managed to achieve it. And while I'm happy for her in that sense, I was also pretty envious of the fact that she was earning more than me. She was in a good position where I wasn't. And, you know, these things, it's never external. My parents are never pushing me to be like, oh, why can't you be like her? Why can't you do this like she does? And my parents have never done
Mm.
that, thank God. I think
Yeah.
that's probably why I would see my parents as good parents, and the fact that they don't make those social comparisons. If there's between us siblings, if anyone's making
Mm.
those comparisons, it's people in school because we all went to the same school at the same time. But
Mm.
I digress. So a lot of me beating myself up about where I am or what more I could be doing or feeling like I should be at this point by now, or I should be doing certain things, I should be at a certain position. That's all internal. Like it's a
Right.
lot of internal voices that come to in my head because I beat myself up so much looking at the other people around me. And
Mm.
it's, you know, it's difficult, especially since it was difficult because I thought at 25, 26, I should be more than what I am now. And I think I've kind of had to take a step back and ground myself and really meet other people. And I actually have a friend who's just slightly older than me, who was also in a pretty similar boat. So we are also
Okay.
still figuring things out. And it's actually really relieving when you meet people who are one of two things. One,
Hmm.
either they are also in the same boat as you, being, you know, they're in contracts or they are uncertain about the jobs, or maybe they're not working, they're unemployed, and they are also trying to figure out what they want to do, but they are trying to get a job and stuff like that. That's group one. Group two would be people who are established in their positions, um who have done well for themselves and in the companies that they're in, but then they might be questioning, is there more to life than this? Is this where I'm going to be stuck at? Is they also question what they're doing at the moment? Is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? And
Yeah.
I a good case for that in my life is my older sister, the
Mm-hmm.
one directly above me. She is a practicing doctor. She was a medical student for she was in med school, she did her residency, and now she's a practitioner.
Yeah.
Her and my brother-in-law both, that's where they met. But then when she was hospitalized and put on medical leave for a few months
Mm.
because of a knee injury she had. She really took the time to step back, reanalyze, re-examine what she wanted to do with her life, and um, she didn't really want the burnout that being a medical officer came. So it's
Right.
relieving to see people still like pretty established in their careers, if not established and a few years into the career path that they've chosen, to still be questioning these things. So I think it felt nice to not be alone in feeling uncertain about career choices, especially
Right.
since your career. I understand that your career is going to shift and evolve, and you're not going to be stuck in one place forever.
Mm.
And that could be whether it's a different company or if it's in a different department in the same company. I've got two bosses who have been in my company for 20 years, but they have
Right.
also shifted and changed. And I think there's also a generational dynamic shift that I have to address in the fact that people before us would stay in the jobs that they hated for the sake of survival or for
Mm.
loyalty,
Yeah.
or for other things, and just for the sake of the hustle, like trying to, make bank and get their bread. But people like me, people who are in my generation, I'm Gen Z for context,
Mm-hmm.
older Gen Z. So people like me, we have seen how the people before us have suffered, how they have sacrificed building meaningful relationships with their friends and family, how people at their deathbeds have said that the thing that they regret most is not spending more time with their spouses and their children. So
Mm.
we acknowledge these adverse things that have happened, and we resist it, we go against it, and we want to say, hey, there's more to life than just work. I don't want to live to work. I'm not breathing work for the rest of my life. There's more to life than just going to an office, achieving your targets and other KPIs. I want a life to live. And
Yeah.
I think that's a really healthy thing that the people before us are coming to. They might be resistant to it, but I think at a certain point, once they accept it, they come to respect us because we actually have the guts to see this.
Mm.
So for me, definitely, I have had to prioritize my mental health,
Yeah.
in the job that I have, because as stressful as a job should be, it should not come because there's no job that doesn't have stress. As stressful as a job should be, you should kind of be able to have avenues for relief of that, or maybe your team is like supportive. Like the job can be stressful because of the job itself, or like the people that your clients or something. But if you have a supportive team, or you have a really good if they also have a really good understanding of work life boundaries, and
Yeah.
that's a really valuable facet to have, which I definitely am grateful for.
Mm.
In my first job, something I didn't mention, I was burnt out
Right.
from this job because I was looking after children from 8 to 6:30. That is a whole 10 and a half hours, 5 days a week,
Yeah.
physically looking after small children between the ages of 3 to 6. And they're
Mm.
like running, they're screaming, they're going against you. They don't want to listen to you. So that's particularly painful instance. As much as I love children, that was really difficult for me to deal with. And
Yeah.
it also came in certain parts of my jobs, I felt unappreciated and kind of disrespected.
Right.
And it actually came at the expense of my physical health as well, because during my first job I was warded for bronchitis, and then that kind of showed me the people that I was working with at the time, as well as some other people, if they showed whether they showed up for me or not, and they
Yeah.
didn't. So I was like, you know what, I don't want to work in with people who won't really respect me in the way that they say they would respect the people that
Mm.
they work for, that they work with. And I don't want to spend the rest of my career just doing whatever I'm doing now, and because I really don't see any career progression in this. So yeah, I've had to put forth my mental and physical health in terms of my careers and my jobs. And yeah, so work-life boundaries are really important, and I really appreciate flexibility. And,
Yeah.
especially now, like, people are calling for a push in working from home, and I'm just really grateful that my team generally has that practice of working from home,
Okay.
especially because half my team are working moms, so they also have small children to take care of, and they need that flexibility as well, which is something
Mm.
that I've also grown to appreciate. But yeah, so I'm sorry, I tend to go off in different tangents when I'm talking about one particular one
Hey, that's
particular
all
when I'm trying
right.
to make when I'm trying to make one point, I'll dive into six different branches. But yeah, so generally, there is I really, really, really come into my own. As much as I'm
Mm.
still figuring things out, I'm only 27. I have the rest of my life ahead of me. I don't know where I'm going to be when I'm 30, 40, 50, if what life is going to look like for me then, or what even
Right.
the job market is going to look like then
Right.
in 30 to 40 years. So there's a lot of myself that I'm still trying to figure out. But I think right now I'm a lot more grounded in where I am, and
Mm.
I can carry myself with the confidence that I did not have in my early to mid 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And while there are still things that I'm trying to figure out, that I'm still praying for, that I'm still hoping for, especially with the uncertainty of my position as
Right.
a contract employee,
Mm-hmm.
I am really I am really really grateful with how far I've come, in a sense that I know who I am. I know what I can do more in
Mm-hmm.
terms of jobs, in terms of careers. And
Yeah.
corporate job is not too bad if you have those flexibilities and boundaries and support in
Yeah.
place. And I think
Mm.
I think if I was to leave my current company, my team has done such a good job in raising the bar of what my next team should look like.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing it. I would say that in terms of career, I would say you have been focusing quite. Just correct me if I'm wrong. You have been focusing quite a lot in terms of establishing in terms of your career path. But do you think that you will be working for the next 10 or 20 years?
I would like to think so. I would like to think that I would be a lot more established as a career woman, especially
Hmm.
since, a lot of women now are encouraged to work in order to support themselves and not depend on the men that they are attached to.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other issue I could go into,
Yeah.
but I would like to, be able to support myself and have a better understanding of being financially independent.
Yes.
While I can definitely contribute to the lives that I share with whichever man I choose to attach myself to,
Hmm.
um, there is a sense of security and relief in being able to provide for myself, because in Islam, your money is your money, your
Yeah.
husband's money is your money and his money, but I will be
Yeah.
keeping my own money, so those rights are in place. So I will just have
Hmm.
to that this is just terms of finances. In terms of
Yeah.
development, I would want to, set a good example for not just myself but also the people that might look up to me, that could be cousins, it could be the children that I might have, if I choose to have any.
Hmm.
So it's like trying to set a precedent that, you could be uncertain now in your early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, but once you do get a footing and you do figure things out, things are going to evolve and change, and you make peace with that, things are going to evolve and change.
Okay.
I think I think once you have your footing, that might take some time. That's definitely taken a lot of time for me.
Hmm.
You will be okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also, Sophia, now coming to this, because you see, you have seen a lot of changes through your career path, and also, um, I'm guessing that you also have changed certain perspective as well. Now, in when it comes to previous years, even let's say, even the generation before your parents, right? So they have set there's like an expiry date. You should be working. but in this age, and then you should be earning this much, and then by this age you should be getting married, you should be having a property, having a car, by this age you should be having child. Do you think those particular age for a certain goals or certain milestones in life, do you think it's still relevant to this day?
What I'm seeing now is people are becoming more accepting towards those milestones moving a bit later.
Okay.
And that can come with education, graduating from school, graduating from university, getting married, being in a leadership position in your company. I
Hmm.
think people have come to understand that we are taking a lot more time with our lives in the short life that we have. People are
Mm-hmm.
trying to be a lot more deliberate and not doing things for the sake of, oh, I'm doing this because I thought I should be at a certain point when I'm 25, when I'm
Hmm.
30.
Hmm.
And like, for example, getting married, a lot of more people are getting married in their 30s.
Hmm.
Now they're not getting a lot of people are still getting married in their 20s. A lot more people are also getting married in their 30s because they are also taking the time to find a partner that they actually want to spend the rest of their life with, instead of just marrying someone for the sake of for just for the sake of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think career wise, I seeing other people who are in college still in their mid 20s, and they are barely in their careers in the same time frame that I am,
Hmm.
or people who are still like my one of my best friends, she's still in a bit in she's in the position that I was in the fact that I was in the job market still for several months. For
Yeah.
her it hasn't been as long, but she's still in that in this little era of hers. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of relief with knowing people who are still shifting and changing and going through these uncertain times, that I'm coming to really understand that it's okay for you to be successful a bit later. It's okay for you to achieve certain things a bit later.
Hmm.
If you worked so hard so young, then
Hmm.
you're going to kind of lose the enthusiasm, lose your youth, lose your thing, also work
Hmm.
and the grind, which I personally have always disagreed with. I don't think you should be working late into the night just for the sake of the hustle. That's a really toxic mentality that people need to let go of, and I think people have been letting go of that, um, uh, because people they're understanding the importance of their mental health more. But I
Yeah.
digress. And sorry, I've come to a point where I've forgotten the original question.
No, I mean, do you think that we should have the certain, because you
Yeah,
should be
those
achieving
timelines,
certain thing at
right?
a
Those
specific
timelines,
age?
right?
Yeah.
I It's good to have as a baseline.
Okay.
It's good to kind of have an idea of where you could be at a certain age, but I don't think those should be set in stone.
Right.
I really think people should be a lot more flexible when it comes to achieving certain things at certain ages. And also ages are, they can be a bit arbitrary, in the
Hmm.
sense that, you could look at me and my colleague and not know that we are 3 years apart, 3 years apart.
Yeah.
And we are working in the same field. So it's a lot of different circumstances that people are put in. Maybe people at 24 are so established in their careers because they were forced to be, because they were forced to work so young. And people who are in college in their late 20s or even their 30s, they had to work first before finally choosing to pursue education for themselves. So it's a
Yep.
lot of so I might idealize people who are so well established in their careers at my age now, but I
Mm-hmm.
might not even understand the circumstances that might have forced them into those positions. So I think that's a good reality check that I had to have, and it's relieving to understand that even people who might be established now might not be established tomorrow. They might lose
Yeah.
everything in the blink of an eye. So
Yeah.
it's while I'm sad for them, it's nice to know that those things can still happen to the best people. Not it Okay, it's not nice to know because it's still scary, like what if that happens to me. But it's relieving that people are not going to be super successful, super established following these timelines, because life happens, you know
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are in a lot of trying times at the moment, especially now. Like
Yes.
we don't know if there's going to be another recession or if there's going to be another pandemic that's going to force people to retrench or downsize. We don't really don't know what's going to happen, and so I think we should cut a lot of us some slack. But in a sense, where in maybe with certain things that we can't control, I think
Mm-hmm.
we should be a lot easier on ourselves. And at 27, I know I'm not even 30 yet. People say that your whole 20s is about you figuring yourself out.
Okay.
And your 30s is you have already done the figuring out, and now you are more confident and comfortable in what you do. So
Hmm.
that's why I say that I'm still in my figuring things out era. I'm only 27. I have another 3 years before I turn 30. So I don't know where I'm going to be in the next 3 years. So I'm hoping that maybe by the time I turn 30, I'm as confident as I am now in my current position. I hope to be a more confident, established person when I'm in when I once I reach my 30s. So that's something that I'm also learning to appreciate, to take my time and
Yeah.
to just trust the process. I think that's a really important one.
All right. All right. And I hope that that will actually work out for you. And also, Sophia, don't be surprised, even like when you enter your 30s or 40s, sometimes you will still get back to this figuring out stage as well. Like sometimes it will change, the course of life will
Yeah.
change, and it's about how you make the best out of it. And now, when we're talking about right at this point, you're still figuring things out, do you think that you have actually made peace with yourself on this part?
I think I would like to say yes. I have made peace with the fact that I might be figuring things out forever. Who knows? But I need to be something that I came to understand was really insightful and really changed a lot of things for me once I heard these words for the first time. Is to trust the process.
Hmm.
Things are going to unfold when they need to. Things are going to happen when they need to at the right time. Especially since
Hmm.
I'm a pretty spiritual person. I
Hmm.
believe in God and in God's timing, and I believe
Hmm.
there's a concept in Islam called rizq, or in
Yeah.
the Malay word would be rizki, where
Basically. Hmm.
things that was also a big word that I used when it came to my jobs and going through the whole job hunting process.
Hmm.
Every rejection is redirection. So it was if it wasn't for those redirections, for those rejections, for the people who turned me down or the jobs that I also rejected, I wouldn't be where I am now. So it really is a process that I need to have full faith in, as much as I also need to do the work, because there is because manifestation doesn't work on its own. It's not something that you just say to God and he's going to do it for you. You also need to put in the effort into making sure that that it can be achievable for you,
Yeah.
um, that you are in a position to achieve it. So I would like to think that I have done that work, and I will still keep doing more of the work wherever I will be next. But yeah, that's I have made peace with the idea that I might be figuring things out forever, might not have things fully sorted, because I
Okay.
have to trust the process and believe that things will work out on their own as and when they need to.
Hmm. That is actually beautifully put, Sophia, I would say. And
Thank you.
to also to everybody else out there who are still struggling or who think that, oh, this is like the end. I don't think I will find a way out. But perhaps that is the process. You have to go through this. You have to face this hardship. You have to feel down and broken so that you could rebuild yourself up. Yeah, that would be the process. And also, Sophia, now let's see you turning back and looking at yourself 10 years ago. Now we're saying you're 27. Let's say you're looking at yourself in 17. So
Oh
what would
dear,
you say?
17.
Yeah.
Fresh out of
What
high
would you,
school.
what would you say to that younger self?
Let's okay, where was I at 17? I was stressed about my O levels. I was stressed about drama that happened in school. I was stressed about friend drama. I think I would say to her that, hey, um, you're in your character development era, and whatever is happening to you now had to happen in order to where you're going to be. Then you would not be the person I would not be the person I am today if you didn't go through if you don't go through what you're going through. And there's only something that I would appreciate, and okay, this is not what I would say to her directly, but I guess to phrase it to 17-year-old Sophia, you would
Mm-hmm.
only appreciate, you're only going to appreciate this entire side. I would be very direct with her, like, hey, you might not see it now, but you're gonna see it later. Um I'm nothing if not direct. I would even be direct to myself as a teenager.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would tell her that it sucks now and it's going to suck for a while,
Mm.
but
Mm.
you're going to get to the good once you get past the sucky. And
Mm.
you're going to go through this many times, but it's because when you go through this and you survive and you're going to be okay,
Yeah.
and only then will you, and you make peace with that fact it's going to suck, but you know you're going to be okay, and you, because you trust God's plan, then only then will you fully find peace in navigating the rest of your life.
Wise words, Sophia. I tell you. I must say that everything that you have been through has really shaped your thoughts, and for everything that you've been putting so much of interest in studying people. And also, I think
Yeah.
you've also have developed quite a lot of better understanding, not only about the people around you, but also the kind of thing that you've been through as well, and also to understand yourself better. I think you have gone through a really amazing process. And I also remember to everybody who participated this podcast, my last question to them was to complete a sentence. Being human means, so fill in the blanks. So what Sophia said, trying, failing, and learning from the process, just like what she have shared. And I think that have
That's how you know I
also,
stand on business.
yeah, you see that really works, and I really love all the part where you actually shared about how you have gone through this job experience, and I hope that many people who are going through this figuring things out, and don't be afraid for you to say no. If it's not going to work for you, it's okay to turn it down and try another one. And Sophia has really has shared all that processes and how she has put it through, and she's also working into build a stable, and also we look forward to seeing many more success stories from Sophia as well in future. And also I would say that definitely in future we're going to see you be doing many incredible things, and also, and in most importantly, you have to be happy with your life and what you turn out to be, isn't it, Sophia?
Yeah. Hmm.
All right. So, okay. So I think we can come and to the end of the session for today for this podcast. And Sophia, would you like to have any final few words to the rest of our friends out there who are in early 20s or mid 20s?
It's gonna suck, but you're gonna get through it, and you're going to be okay.
All right, amazing, amazing. You always have this beautiful way of putting things, Sophia. That's amazing, and keep being you, and you're a walking proof of that. Okay, so that's great. I'm very happy to hear from you for today, and also to the rest of you who are still trying. Where I'm rooting for you, Sophia also will be rooting for you, and just trust that this is part of the process, and everything will be all right. Okay, so that is Society Scoop for today. So thank you to everybody who tuned in, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye, Sophia.
Bye, Kavita. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right, lovely.